Sports Report was brought to you by MVP Accident Attorneys. When it comes to your settlement, we're slam dunk. Call 833-MVP-WINS or check their website at themvp.com for a free case review.
When you're the victim of a car accident, hiring the right law firm can be the difference between a rewarding settlement and striking out. Call the pros at MVP Accident Attorneys at 833-MVP-WINS for your free consultation.
Call on me, your MVP.
Four racial arsonists set LA City Hall on fire. And everybody is running out of the building straight to KBLA Talk 1580.
I am pleased to welcome LA City Councilman Mike Bonin to this program. Councilman, how are you, sir?
Hello. Thank you, Tavis.
Councilmember Curran Price, good to have you on, sir. How are you today?
I'm well, Tavis. Thank you. Good to be with you and your listeners.
I am pleased to have LA City Councilwoman Monica Rodriguez on this program. How are you today, ma'am?
Good morning, Tavis.
Councilman O'Farrell, good to have you on, sir. How are you today?
Thank you so much, Tavis. So glad to join you this morning.
Councilman Koretz, welcome to this program, sir. How are you?
I'm honored to be on your show. Still in shock from the events of the last few days.
Marquise Harris Dawson, good morning.
Good morning, Dominique, and good morning to the KBLA family.
Councilmember Heather Hutt, good morning.
Good morning, Dominique.
I am pleased to welcome the new president of the LA City Council, Paul Kikoy. Mr. President, how are you, sir?
Good morning, Tavis. I'm well. Thank you very much.
Holding all politicians accountable to you. We're unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580.
Something for my godson Elijah and a little girl named Corinne. Some say the blacker the better, the sweeter the juice. I say the darker the flesh and the deeper the roots. I give a holler to my sisters on welfare. Tupac cares if don't nobody else care. And I know they like to beat you down a lot. When you come around the block, brothers clown a lot. But please don't cry, dry your eyes, never let up. Forgive but don't forget, girl, keep your head up. And when he tells you you ain't nothing, don't believe him. And if you can't learn to love you, you should leave him. Cause sister, you don't need him. And I ain't trying to gas you up, I just call him how I see him. You know what makes me unhappy? That when brothers make babies and leave a young mother to be a pastor. And since we all came from a woman, got our name from a woman, and I came from a woman. I wonder why we take from our women, why we rape our women, do we hate our women? I think it's time to kill for our women, time to heal our women, be real to our women. And if we don't, we'll have a race of babies that will hate the ladies that make the babies. And since a man can't make one, he has no right to tell a woman when and where to create one. So will the real men get up? I know you're fed up, ladies, but keep your head up.
I'm Tavis, Smiley. This is KBLA Talk 1580. Our phone number 1-800-920-1580, 1-800-920-1580. I asked Miles to start with a little POC because my guest, who I'll introduce here in just a second, and since you know we're live streaming, he's actually in studio. Many of my guests oftentimes are on the phone. He's in studio, so if you want to watch this conversation, you can just go to our app on your phone and tap on the KBLA TV icon, or go to our YouTube channel. Either way, you want to see our guest in conversation with us in this hour, he is actually in studio today. But I asked Miles Lowe to play some POC, in part because the very first time I met this brother, first time we spent some real time together, was on my BET show. My BET show started, for those who don't know this history right quick, in 1996. So my very first night of hosting BET's first ever late night talk show was called BET Tonight with Tavis Smiley. My very first night, Whitney Houston was supposed to be my scheduled guest. She was my guest, my scheduled guest for the first night. I don't know if you even know the story, Kevin. I'll introduce Kevin Powell just a second more formally. But my very first night, Whitney Houston was scheduled to be our guest. And over that weekend, after being in the hospital for a number of days, as you all know, you Pac fans, Tupac died on Friday the 13th. Why do I know that? Because my birthday is September the 13th.
I didn't know that.
So Tupac dies. He's in the hospital for days. He dies on September 13th, my actual birthday. And so I could never forget the day that Tupac passed away. That was on Friday. So BET, again, my very first night, they're launching this late night talk show. Whitney Houston's our scheduled guest. And when Tupac dies over the weekend, everything changes. So we literally had to beg Ms. Houston's forgiveness. and cancel her on my very first night. Let me just add, by the way, I never got Whitney back in a 30-year career. Wow. We tried and tried and tried, and we could never get the dates to work. And then sadly, you know, her life turned and the drug use and everything else. I miss Whitney to this day. And we, you know, talked a number of times, but never had a chance to do it live on camera in studio. Just could not get the dates and times and places to work out. So the night that I would have talked to Whitney, my very first night, it didn't happen. It didn't happen after that. But Tupac dies over the weekend on that Friday. And my very first night, I was fortunate to have just an all-star panel of persons talking about the life and legacy of one Tupac Shakur. Nobody at that time, or even now I think, had written better and had written in a more in-depth way about the life and legacy of Tupac Shakur than Kevin Powell. And so Kevin Powell was invited to be on our panel that night. It was Chuck D and Kevin Powell and Russell Simmons. That's a whole nother story which we're going to talk about right now. Kevin remembers that story. He's laughing already. Miles has heard that story. I mean, if you've heard that story about the night that Russell Simmons and I fell out on my very first night. That's right. But anyway, it was ugly. It was ugly. But Kevin Powell was there with me on my very first night hosting my very first national television show. And we've been brothers and friends since that night, September the 16th, 1996. Wow. Here we are. In December of 2022, still friends, still brothers, and I'm honored to have him on this program as well. In this hour, we'll talk to Kevin Powell about his new book. It's called Grocery Shopping with My Mother. When Kevin Powell's elderly mother became ill, he returned home every week to take her grocery shopping. Walking behind her during those trips, Powell began to hear her voice, stories, and language in a new way, examining his own healing while praying for hers. The acclaimed author, journalist, activist, and filmmaker joins us live in studio right now to discuss his latest book, Grocery Shopping with My Mother. Kevin Powell, it's an honor, sir, to see you. How are you, my friend?
I'm good. And, you know, Tavis, let me just say this. I mean, that's 26 years ago. It's crazy.
It is.
It's crazy. And I just want to give you your flowers. Just thank you for all that you have done, you know, through these years in the community, politically, State of Black America stuff that you was doing, all the media things you've done, because I think it's important to acknowledge people while they are here. So I just want to say I appreciate you and just thank you. And I love that this is in the heart of the community, this radio station, my first time here. Shout out to Dominic DePrima.
Yes.
Thank you, Miles. Thank you, Johnny. Mr. Butler, who I met out there, was very kind to me. I just want to say thank you, Jackie. I want to thank everyone here. But this is powerful, unapologetically progressive. I love this.
No, you're kind to say that. I thank you, and I appreciate it, as does my team. We are blessed and honored to do this work every day, and it's an honor to have you in studio. I want to make the most of our time in these now 50 minutes that I have left, and I want to start with this. When I got the book, the thing that just blew me away, aside from the picture on the cover,
my mother. That's
exactly,
my mother. Yes,
amazing
sir.
photo.
Thank you.
We'll talk about that in a second. But the thing that got me when I opened it up and started reading it was this quote on your opening page from the great writer Audre Lorde.
Yes.
And the quote says, "So it is better to speak, remembering we were never meant to survive. So it is better to speak, remembering we were never meant to survive." It's a powerful piece, man. It's a powerful, powerful quote from Audre Lorde. Tell me two things. One, why you chose that to put on your title page. And secondly, why that poem, that quote rather, resonates with you.
My mama is a product of the South, just like you are, sir, and South Carolina. And she migrated north like many of us have done, or to the west as folks came to California as well, and was a single mother with a grade school education. And she raised me on welfare, food stamps, government cheese, and tenement buildings, the kind of poverty I wouldn't wish on anyone. And there was a lot of folks who used to say to my mother, "I don't know if you're going to make it. I don't know if your son's going to make it." And she instilled in me, Tavis, because my mother was born in 1943. She actually turned 20 on August 28th, 1963. She's a Virgo like you are, Earth sign like you are, which, as you know, was the March on Washington, Dr. King's famous I Have a Dream speech. My mother was not a part of the Civil Rights Movement, but she caught the spirit of it. And one thing she knew is that if she can get her son an education, then maybe he'll have a chance. And so I was looking for quotes to start the book, and that Audre Lorde quote just resonated with me. And a lot of folks don't know this. I have a collected writings coming out in April next year, and I will be back here at the LA Times Festival of Books with that. And I actually
and you do Dominique's show at that point.
I'll do Dominique's show at that point. And I actually did the very last interview with Audre Lorde before she died via telephone back in '93.
I did not know that.
For Emerge Mag. Remember Emerge Magazine?
I do. George Curry.
George Curry.
Yeah, I remember George Curry.
I did the last interview.
Okay, hold on. Now you got me going. You did the last interview with the Audre Lorde.
With the Audre Lorde.
What was that experience like? What was that like?
She was dying of cancer. She was coughing on the phone. But at the time, I mean, we all were young. We were young people back then, you know, much younger. And she said, it's important for me to do this interview. I don't want to get off this phone. I have the audio. I have the full audio. And it was incredible. You know, I'll never forget it. But I just, she told me about her life as a mother, as a woman, as a lesbian, as a poet, as a journalist, an essayist, all the things that she had to deal with, the racism, the homophobia, the sexism, all of it. And she educated me in that interview. I still get chills thinking about it. And I just, I've said to myself, I want to honor her in different ways, and I had an opportunity with this book, with this quote. You know, it just came to me because I said that speaks to, she was a single mother. My mother is a single mother. So I want to shout out single black women out there, single mothers.
That must have been a full circle moment for you.
Oh, yeah.
To put Audre Lorde's quote on your book, or in your book, when you had a chance to interview her as her last conversation.
Well, I mean, you know, Tavis, because you've interviewed so many people. It's like when you sit here, you know, and literally, I can't wait to bring the book to you and Dominique in the station. Like, in that book, I have Audre Lorde, I have Bell Hooks, I have Dave Chappelle, I have Tupac, I got a whole bunch of people. I mean, and you don't think about when you're in the middle of it, but I think it's important sometimes to just like, let me pause for a second and see what I've done. You know, it's an incredible body. I mean, that's why I said I got to give you your flowers while you're here, because what we're really doing, we're keepers of memory. We're recording history as it's happening. And so for me, I know that man, how do I say this? When I was a young person and I would read books by Dominique's father, Mary Baraka, or Langston Hughes Zora, I said, let me make sure that as young people come behind me, they actually know it's not just Kevin Powell, but I stand on the shoulders of Audre Lorde. I stand on the shoulders of the folks that came before me, Nikki Giovanni, folks like that. So that's why I also make sure that I put writers in there, black writers in there like that, so people can know those reference points.
There's a lot in this book, and I'm going to press upon my friend Kevin Powell, maybe read something from it as we move through the hour.
Yes, sir.
A great deal to talk about. He has been and still is a journalist extraordinaire, has talked to so many people in the course of his career, and I'm honored to be reunited with him again on this program on KBLA Talk 1580.
We've got a lot to talk about. Good thing we've got 3 hours. More of Tavis Smiley when we come forward. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
Hi, Maisha Cairo here, KBLA, live at Chase Bank on Crenshaw and Vernon for the In This Together tour with female business owners, a day of empowerment, community panels, and best of all, tips on building business from marketing to capital. I was able to speak with Kate Luzio, former banking executive and now owner of Luminary, who partnered with Chase for this tour. She makes it her business to build community for business owners.
Yeah, so I was a banker for 20 years before I decided to become an entrepreneur. 7 of those years were actually at JP Morgan Chase. One of the biggest things that I had going into my entrepreneurial journey was a big background in banking.
So what advice are you giving business owners looking for financial backing today?
So Chase brings in so much knowledge and the opportunity to understand what financial tools are out there for business owners to build, grow, and scale their business. A lot of business owners will say, well, I need to get a loan immediately. Well, you wouldn't just lend money to your friend if you didn't know why they needed it. I tell every business owner, you need a business plan, you need financial projections, you need a banker. Because you have to start building a relationship with a banker so that they get comfortable with how you're going to build that business and so that they can eventually support you in different ways.
Makes sense. So visit the Chase Community Center on Crenshaw and Vernon. Meet a banker today. Tell them about your business. I'm Maisha Cairo in the community for KBLA with JP Morgan Chase.
Central Neighborhood Health Foundation is a full-service network of federally qualified health care centers that serves local communities throughout Los Angeles, Riverside, and San Bernardino counties. CNHF clinics provide low-cost to no-cost, compassionate, comprehensive, quality health care, which includes primary care services for chronic disease and diabetes management, pediatric and women's services, preventive care, vision and dental screenings, COVID-19 testing and vaccines, flu vaccines, behavioral health, HIV and substance use services. Virtual telehealth visits are available from the comfort of your home with highly qualified physicians and medical professionals. CNHF also provides peer support specialist training and help with housing navigation. Central Neighborhood Health Foundation. Your wellness is our priority. Comprehensive care built on trust and respect. For more information, visit cnhfclinics.org or call 213-536-5815 today to locate a clinic near you.
Last minute shopping? Good thing Ulta Beauty's first on your list. From Gotta Have It ready-to-go kits from Fenty and Benefit to cult favorite mascaras to simple yet perfect Ulta Beauty gift cards, we have gifts everyone will love this season. So get shopping, because our kind of holiday is you having your kind of holiday. Hurry to an Ulta Beauty near you or buy online and pick up in store. Ulta Beauty, the possibilities are beautiful.
This is KBLA Talk 1580, where hate meets a scholarly match.
Our guest in this hour is my friend and brother, Kevin Powell. His new book is called Grocery Shopping with My Mother. I am delighted to have him here. Let me just give you the microphone. Tell me the story of why you started visiting your mother every week, which becomes, of course, the genesis for the text.
Well, somewhere around the time that Donald Trump started to ascend in this country, unfortunately, I would say, we can talk about that for days.
Yeah, Lord help us all, right?
Yes, sir. My mother got sick, and I'm an only child, you know, and it's a deep phenomenon, as you know, brother, to go from being the child to kind of becoming the parent, the caretaker. And one thing, my mother couldn't even get to the grocery store, and I literally had to take her to the grocery store every week because she's old school stubborn. She's like, I want to go. I said, Mom, we can have it delivered to you. Now, I don't want no food directly. I don't want no whole food. I want nothing delivered to me. I want the food. I want to go pick it out myself. And so that began the process. And what my mother didn't know, Tavis, is that a lot of times when I was walking behind her, I was literally crying because, I mean, my mother is the first teacher I ever met, the first leader I ever met. You know, I mean, you know, brother, when you got a parent from the South, I was up at 5 a.m. You got to work hard. You know, she started picking cotton in South Carolina when she was 8 years old. I started bagging groceries when I was 8 years old because my mom said, you got to start working. I was like, now? She said, now. You know how it is, brother.
It ain't going to be cotton, but you're going to do something at 8 years old, yeah.
I mean, you know, brother, when we talk about your life, I know we're talking about my book for a second, but it's like I can see your roots by how hard you have worked historically since I've known you since 1996, because that's ingrained in us. We can't take anything for granted. And I feel like, too, when we talk about our families, you know, we owe it to our parents, even though my relationship with my mother's complicated because she's another world and there's a lot of stuff we don't agree on, you know what I'm saying? But I'm like, you know, I wouldn't be here for her. And so it forced me to think about her, my relationship with her. I thought about my father, who I didn't really know. I saw him a couple times until I was 8 years old. My mother always says she's my mother, my father. But she also raised me like you have to be a different kind of man, even though she couldn't quite tell me exactly what that should look like. I had to kind of figure that out on my own, and having male mentors and stuff like that. But it was a painful process. And my mother ended up in the hospital for the first time since she gave birth to me. So you can imagine what that felt like. And a lot of folks know what I'm talking about out there. If you've lost a mother, father, parent, and a grandmother, grandfather, it's a difficult thing. And I just said I just need to be here with her, and thank God she's still here. You know, and I just started writing stuff on social media tabs. I would post to Instagram or Twitter. I'm grocery shopping with my mother, and what I didn't realize is that people were relating to my posts. It was not, this book was not intended. This is my 15th book. I literally have not written a poetry book. This is my first poetry book in 14 years. And it just kind of came out of me. And, you know, for me, as a writer, you know, someone who grew up loving Nikki Giovanni, Maya Angelou, and Baraka and Langston and all those folks I mentioned earlier, writing is healing. I mean, you've written books. You know what I'm talking about. You know, it's like making sense of the chaos of the world. And it started off about my mother. The first and last poems are long poems about my mother, but inside of that is what's happening in America. You know what I mean? And so we talk about the racism. We talk about a lot of the stuff that we have to go through. And then also as a black man, a black male, I've thought a lot about my own healing journey. I was like, you know, writing is a way for us to express stuff. I mean, Tavis, I have my first film is coming out next year as well, and it's about black manhood and the need for black males to express themselves and what we go through and the traumas that we have to deal with, you know what I'm saying? So all of that is in this book, all 36 poems, and it's been it was a labor of love, but I'm very proud of it. And as you all were celebrating the first black woman mayor in LA KBLA. We were at Post and Beam on Saturday, and it was packed.
Yeah.
It was beautiful, and I said, "This is for poetry." It was shocking, and I realize now this poetry book is really kind of like a poetic memoir, if you will. It's about my mother, but it's also about me. I honor Sidney Poitier in the book. I honor Cicely Tyson in the book. These are elders that we've lost. I honor Bell Hooks in the book. Different people like that. But at the end of the day, it's really about us and how we move forward as a people, given all we've been through, you know.
You said a few things, more than a few things, and I want to follow you in this conversation and get you to unpack some of those things right quick. Let me start with this. First of all, you talk about the roots, my roots and your roots.
Yes, sir.
My mind went to our mutual friend and brother, Cornel West.
Yes.
Dr. West has a great line. He said it to me many times, and I've taken it as my own. He says, our roots determine our roots. The ROOTS.
Yes, sir.
Determine the ROUTES.
Yes, sir.
Our roots determine our roots, or our routes, if you prefer.
Right.
That's only Cornel West can come up with that, right? But it's a great line.
Yes, sir.
So if I can see your ROOTS,
right,
then I got a good idea.
That's right.
Of what your ROUTES might look like.
Yeah.
Or certainly if I see it looking in reverse, the roots make great sense. I thought about that when you mentioned the roots, number one. Number two, let me ask you right quick. You got a documentary coming out, a film coming out about Black manhood.
Yeah.
And I want to ask right quick what the journey was like for you. Because there's always these conversations about, can a Black woman raise a man? It takes a man to raise a man. You've heard this stuff for years. But there's so many single moms listening, I'm sure, right now.
That's right.
What say you about your particular journey of finding your way into your manhood, being raised as an only child by a Black woman?
Whew, brother.
That's a book, right? That could be your 16th book.
That could be my 16th book. She did the best she could. And faith. I mean, you've used that word in your career, faith. Work hard, and she stressed education. Never stop learning. And you know, it's interesting. I didn't even know Black history until I got to college. I went to Rutgers University on a financial aid package back in the 80s, Tavis, and I didn't know any of this. I didn't know Black folks were radio personalities. I didn't know Black folks were writers, nothing. Unfortunately, as you know, with our generation, unless you had a mom or daddy or a school that told you about Black history, my school education, we stopped at the World War II. We never even got the Civil Rights Movement. So what began the process for me, I knew that I was longing for a father figure. And my father, when I was 8 years old, in that book also that you have right there, I have an apology poem to my father, a forgiveness poem to my father.
I saw that, yeah.
It took a long time. It took me into my 50s to get there. You know what I mean? Because of that father hole. You know what I mean? And a lot of fathers out there, it's just real simple. Show up. What we hear in the film that we got coming out next year, people kept saying, what do we need Black men to do? Fathers, just be there in some form. Well, college changed me. I read the autobiography of Malcolm X. That changed me. I started learning Black history. You feel what I'm saying? And I started learning about all these incredible figures in Black history. And I just, you know, the first campaign I ever worked on was Reverend Jesse Jackson's campaign in 1984. I'm a teenager. You know what I mean? I didn't know a Black person. I didn't know about Trail Chisholm in 72. Had no idea about that. But you can imagine what it felt like seeing a Black man
from the outhouse to the White House. Hands that pick cotton will now pick a president. You know about Pennsylvania Avenue, but you don't know about Cheney Street. Born in the slum, but the slum wasn't born in me.
Think about it like this. Malcolm told me the importance of reading. Reverend Jackson, man, that's why I majored in political science in college, because he was running for president of the United States. You know, and I remember distinctly watching, and as a teenager, his speech at the Democratic National Convention in San Francisco.
He killed it.
So what I found myself doing, which is what a lot of Black males are doing, have done throughout. If we don't have those figures in life, you look for Black manhood from different angles. Who are the Black men I can look up to? You know, and that's what it was for me. And you know, you mentioned hip hop. I mean, Chuck D was so important. Chuck D ain't that much older than us, but when Public Enemy was Public Enemy, you know, that meant something to me. I mean, when I've heard Fight the Power for the first time, Spike Lee, watching his movies, you know, I mean, that's what John Singleton, our late brother John Singleton, and you know, one of my upcoming books is a biography of Tupac Shakur. John gave me one of my I got one of the last interviews John did for the Tupac book, and John talked about the impact of seeing a Black man, Spike Lee, making movies that made him want to do movies, but from his perspective as a Californian. So Black men need examples that we can look up to, and that's why I said again, your flowers, because you don't have any idea, Tavis, how many people have heard you on the radio, seen you on TV, who said, I want to do that, and here I am. People, young brothers come up to me, I want to be a writer like you. And so we need to see examples we can model, you know, and that's important.
How did, we got 2 minutes before news and travel and sports, and we'll continue on the other side. But how did writing become your muse?
Since I was a kid, I used to draw first as a kid. I love visual art.
You drew first?
As a little boy, I drew, but my mama took me to the library. I was 8 years old. I'm a huge sports fan to this day. The first books I read were sports books, and then at 11 years old, going back to the library.
Are you a Knicks fan like Spike?
Absolutely not.
Okay. since you mentioned Spike, I thought I'd go there. Yeah.
I'm gonna shout out Magic Johnson and the Lakers.
There you go.
I was at Kobe's memorial when he passed. Wow. There's a poem in the book about
Kobe. There is
about
exactly.
Kobe.
Yep.
Right. I mean, I'm with greatness and excellence. Let me just say, the Knicks don't represent excellence.
I'm glad Spike ain't in here right about now, but go ahead.
That's my brother. Shout out to Brooklyn, my Brooklyn brother. But writing is something I did. Teachers are important. My 12th grade English teacher, rest in peace, Mrs. Lillian Williams, in my hometown in Jersey City, saw something in me. She made me enter an essay contest. I won it. That's the first time I thought I could be a writer. But my yearbook in high school, when I graduated, said accountant. I got to Rutgers, anti-apartheid movement. That's when the activism and the writing kicked in. The two things happened at the same time. I fell in love with Langston and Malcolm, and I was like, I want to see if I can merge these two together. Malcolm X and Langston Hughes. Yeah. 15 books later, here I am. Yeah.
I'm going to put you on the spot right quick. Name for me, I'm not even going to say the three, but name for me three of your most impactful interviews. You've interviewed so many people. We mentioned Audre Lorde earlier. Give me just three of the most impactful interviews in your career.
Right before COVID hit, I spent 2 or 3 months with Stacey Abrams' Washington Post magazine, May 2020. Tupac Shakur prison interview right when he was going to jail for Vibe magazine cover story.
I remember that well, brother.
Woo! And the third one, Esquire magazine. I was the only print journalist allowed to interview Dave Chappelle when he left his Comedy Central shows. There's a cover story on Dave Chappelle I did in May 2006 for Esquire that people should look up. It's called Heaven Hell, Dave Chappelle. I'm actually really proud of it because it covers his whole life. Yeah. People don't realize Dave comes from a family of educators and activists and all of that, which informs his comedy. So those three are the ones I think about.
You done it all, man. You done it all, and I'm glad to be able to do it to you today. Ask you some questions. His name is Kevin Powell. His book is called Grocery Shopping with My Mother. We ain't got even deep into this thing yet. We're going to after news, traffic, and sports on KBLA Talk 1580.
Say the quiet part out loud. KBLA Talk 1580.
I'm Doug Davis, and here's the latest from the Black Information Network. Students grades 6 through 12 attending public schools in D.C. have until Friday to submit proof of vaccinations to school officials. The deadline does not include the COVID shot. Officials say nearly 2,500 students have not submitted their proof of vaccination forms to school officials. The former capital of the Confederacy is about to lose its last Confederate monument. A statue of General A.P. Hill will come down in Richmond, Virginia, starting today. The general's remains, at the site for more than 30 years, will be moved to a cemetery. The Golden Globes nomination for Best Performance by an Actor in a Comedy or Musical TV Series are out. Those getting the nod include Donald Glover for Atlanta. The 2023 Golden Globes takes place on January 10th in Beverly Hills, California. And that is the latest. I'm Doug Davis from the Black Information Network and BINnews.com.
Sigler work in Glendale, a busy drive in Paramount, and Torrance. It's troubles on that 405 north at Western, left lane with a crash as far back as Avalon Boulevard, coming away from the Carson area, a very busy drive. On the 710 north at Rosecrans, that's Paramount, left lane with a crash. We're loaded up here from at least that 91. Glendale, it's a wreck on the 134 west at Glendale Avenue, crashed the off-ramp there. They've shut down that ramp as the vehicles over the embankment were busy from at least the 2 freeway. Silver Lake, Atwater Village, you're 5 north at the 2. Look out for a stalled vehicle in the right lane, coming away from Maine, the busy drive.
Perk up your holidays with one of the Coffee Bean's signature holiday drinks, like the Peppermint Mocha Cream Cold Brew with the Frosty Cream Cap or the Macadamia White Chocolate Ice Blended Drink. Add whip if you're feeling extra. Sip into the holidays and treat yourself at the Coffee Bean and Tea Leaf today.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
The Lakers got strong performances from LeBron James and Anthony Davis in a 7-point win at Detroit. The win snapped a 3-game losing streak and helped the Lakers finish 3-3 on their 6-game road trip through the Eastern Conference. LeBron led the Lakers with 35 points. AD had a monster game. 34 points, 15 rebounds, 7 assists, and 2 steals. The Lakers are back home Tuesday night to play Boston. The Celtics have the NBA's best record at 21-6. The Chargers hold off Miami for a 23-17 win at SoFi. Congratulations to the 12-1 Philadelphia Eagles. They are the first team this season to clinch a spot in the NFL playoffs. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson. This sports report was brought to you by MVP Accident Attorneys. When it comes to your settlement, we're slam dunk. Call 833-MVP-WINS or check their website at themvp.com for a free case review.
When you're the victim of a car accident, hiring the right law firm can be the difference between a rewarding settlement and striking out. Call the pros at MVP Accident Attorneys at 833-MVP-WINS for your free consultation.
Call on me, your MVP.
Okay, so here's the truth about December 17th and why you should register on DeonRamble.com. Okay, get ready. DeonRamble.com and why you should register for a free event about contracts. December 17th to be with me, Rambo, and my special guest. First of all, if you don't have a lot of contracts right now, you need to be there. Like, the whole new year is coming in. I've been doing these events for a while now. Every event has over 500 minority business owners there. So if you haven't attended, you need to attend. And if you have attended, you probably already started winning contracts because the event's free. December 17th. Is a Saturday. It's only for 2 hours. My special guest can only talk up to 6 minutes. And these are the mayor's office, LA counties talking about contracts, the city, DeonRamble.com. So if I haven't convinced you December 17th to come to DeonRamble.com and register, I really don't know what else to do. It's all about contracts. This DeonRamble.com, DeonRamble.com.
Four racial arsonists set LA City Hall on fire. And everybody is running out of the building straight to KBLA Talk 1580.
I am pleased to welcome LA City Councilman Mike Bonin to this program. Councilman, how are you, sir?
Hello. Thank you, Tavis.
Councilmember Kern Price, good to have you on, sir. How are you today?
I'm well, Tavis. Thank you. Good to be with you and your listeners.
I am pleased to have LA City Councilwoman Monica Rodriguez on this program. How are you today, ma'am?
Good morning, Tavis.
Councilman O'Farrell, good to have you on, sir. How are you today?
Thank you so much, Tavis. So glad to join you this morning.
Councilman Koretz, welcome to this program, sir. How are you?
I'm honored to be on your show. Still in shock from the events of the last few days.
Marquise Harris Dawson, good morning.
Good morning, Dominique, and good morning to the KBLA family.
Councilmember Heather Hutt, good morning.
Good morning, Dominique.
I am pleased to welcome the new president of the LA City Council, Paul Kikoy. Mr. President, how are you, sir?
Good morning, Tavis. I'm well. Thank you very much.
Holding all politicians accountable to you. We're unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580.
Three-time WNBA champions, the Los Angeles Sparks, jump into their 27th season this summer with the most games ever in league history. This historic 40-game season means more world-class play in a city where the party never stops. Get connected to an unforgettable experience and secure your seats now at lasparks.com/tickets.
KBLA Talk 1580. I'm Dominique DePrima, host of First Things First, weekday mornings from 6 to 9. We'll do a deep dive tomorrow on the latest science on RSV, COVID, and the flu with Dr. Cosette Lyons-Jones. Plus headlines and hot topics. It's a Talking Point Tuesday, only on KBLA Talk 1580.
Looking for legitimate political discourse without the bear spray? Tune in and speak out. KBLA Talk 1580.
Our guest is Kevin Powell, and he's the author of a new book, his 15th. It's called Grocery Shopping with My Mother. We'll get into it in just a second here. Sometimes, as I say all the time, the best parts of this radio show are in the break. And we were talking in the break about resiliency, about black men being resilient. And you were about to say something to me. So since we're back on the air live now, the audience can hear whatever you're about to say to me in our private conversation.
Well, brother, I love you.
Yeah,
I need to say that. Man. And, this book, Grocery Shopping with My Mother, by the grace of God, just a couple of years ago, I was in a bad situation. Let's go back to 2020. Kobe dies tragically, and his daughter Gigi and 7 other people here on the West Coast, and I was profoundly affected by it. I've also been profoundly affected by the number of black men that we've lost. Him, Chadwick Boseman, particularly brothers in their 40s and 50s, not making it to 50 or 60. Many of them preventable things. I went through a very deep divorce, literally in the middle of COVID. Literally got divorced and had to hold up my divorce papers to a computer screen just to say, okay, I signed the paper. I lost everything. I ended up bankruptcy for the second time in my life, barely held on from a fought off eviction, all that kind of stuff. Deeply depressed, deep depression. And I bring that up because it's not the first time in my life I've been through this. You know, when you interviewed me, what you didn't know when you interviewed me on your very first show on BET back in '96 when Pac died, I had been fired from Vibe magazine in May of 1996, and I was in the middle. I don't drink. I'm a vegan, brother, but I was in the middle of a drunken stupor for about 5 or 6 years because we lost Tupac in '96, and then we lost Biggie 6 months later, and there was all this craziness with East Coast, West Coast, and I was at Vibe magazine. Our brother Quincy Jones, who created Vibe magazine, deep depression, because what we don't talk about is the stuff that's thrown at black men and black women, but I'm speaking specifically brother to brother, and how it seems like the racism tries to destroy us from every single angle. And there's a few times where I just wanted to give up, brother. And I'm gonna tell you, in 2020, as I sat in my apartment in Brooklyn, I really wanted to give up. Because it is hard, especially when you lose everything and people take things away from you or assume you got everything. You know what I'm saying, Tavis, Smiley.
Yes.
And, you know, one of my brothers, and I believe one of my brothers in September of 2020 committed suicide. A brother who graduated from USC Film School, went to school with Ryan Coogler and Steve Capel, successful filmmakers. He killed himself right here in LA in the midst of all that stuff. The last time we spoke was in August of 2020 when Chadwick died. What you don't know is that I knew Chadwick when he came out of Howard University. I worked with Chadwick in the theater scene in New York, and I followed his whole journey, and I interviewed Chadwick. I did a cover story. You asked me interviews that I did. I did a cover story for British GQ on Chadwick Boseman, and he was still the same humble brother, in spite of Black Panther, the original Black Panther, making $1 billion worldwide. Had no idea this brother had cancer. You know what I mean? And what saved me, Tavis, and why I'm here to promote this book, and I was able to write this book. 400 years of what we've had to deal with in this country. You know, from being kidnapped from Africa, being brought here, made into subhumans. Why have I been able to forgive my father? Because I realized my father was just doing what we were taught on those plantations, just be a breeder. Not realizing you should be a whole man. You know what I mean? And what I have fought for my entire life, Tavis, and when you see this film next year, about black manhood, is that we live in a society, a world, you know, in spite of all we have given here, what you've given in the media, in the community, in politics, what I've done as a writer, as an activist, we literally have built this country. You know, there's no music without us. There's no food without us. There's no technology without us. There's no literature without us. You know, there's no sports without us. You know what I mean? We literally have created so much, and we still have to. One of the things in the film, you'll see it, brother, when it comes out. It's called When We Free the World. We pull back from 1968, that whole sign, I am a man. And I realized, you asked me earlier, how have I tried to figure out as a black man, you know, how to be a man, my history, looking at black men like you, like Miles, you know, like Mr. Butler, like my publicist, you know, just talking with each other. Because you never know how your story is the same story as the person sitting across from you. You know, but by the grace of God, you said it when we were off the air, Tavis. I mean, man, listen, when we had a big celebration here in LA on this past weekend in New York, and when people showed up, man, there've been many times when I thought my career was over, brother. Yeah. You know what I mean? When my 15 books, some of the books probably sold 2 copies, honestly. You know, but what has kept me going is my mama. I'm like, man, if my mother can take that grade school education and produce a son who's created books and been around the world, I can't give up. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I see you're getting emotional. I'm about to get emotional with you because I feel the same way about my mother. When I was going through my drama.
But you're here, brother.
Yeah, and
you're here.
I was in court every day for 3 weeks of this trial on this PBS matter, and my mother insisted that she be with me every day. And she sat in that courtroom every day for 3 weeks, and sometimes the testimony was so rough for her that she would sit in the hallway, right? But she never abandoned me for 3 weeks every day at trial. And when I saw her strength and her love, I was like, I don't know what's going to happen when this trial's over with. I don't know if I'll ever make it back, if I'll ever get back in the media business again. But what I realized watching her is that as black men, we can never let misery have the last word.
No.
Ever.
What you don't know, because mine was in public like yours, My first wife got an ugly email a few years back, about 4 or 5 years ago, and she didn't know how to deal with it. I responded to it, and the person that I responded to knew me from MTV's The Real World, Vibe magazine, all these books. You know, they think we're all rich. I was sued. We were on trial in Minnesota, of all places. I was literally on trial, brother. It's in my previous book, When We Free the World. It's the last essay in there. It was a white sister who sued me for defamation for like some crazy astronomical $500,000 to $1 million. Brother, while sitting there, this white sister got up on the stand. She's manipulated by this lawyer who saw me as a lottery ticket for her. She said, "This is my Me Too moment." I didn't know her. I had never encountered her. But and in that moment, she said that I feel like I was raped. Now, I'm a pro-feminist black man. You know what I mean?
And you've written about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But in that moment, I felt like Emmett Till. You know what I mean? Little did I know that within 2 years, George Floyd would be killed in that same city that I was on trial in, Minneapolis, St. Paul. But I think the thing I'm saying is, you know, a lot of people don't realize how dangerous it is to be a black man in this country. I ain't saying I'm perfect. I own my mistakes. But I am saying that there's a certain kind of danger that people feel about us that, you know, it comes from all different angles. And so I think about that, you know, a lot when I see brothers going through stuff like what you went through and what I've been through. And particularly if you're in a public space the way we've been for so long time, people take shots from every angle.
Every angle, man.
And you really realize who your real friends are.
They got more angles than Steph Curry.
Brother. And you realize who your real friends are. Yeah. You realize who your real friends are. Yeah. And your real friends are the people who are here with you. Yeah. You know what I mean? And that's something I had to learn. I mean, it even destroyed, I would say that situation even destroyed my marriage because even that was gone after that point. But, you know, I'm glad that you're here, brother, because my brother friend, he gave up. And some of us give up by committing suicide.
Oh, man.
Some of us, you know, like I used to do, I used to drink my blues away. You know what I mean? Hardcore.
And when you're in those deep, dark places, I don't care who you are.
Yeah.
I don't care how resolute you are, how successful you have been. Yeah. When you're in those deep, dark places, those thoughts come in your mind, man.
It does, brother.
Can I get a witness?
Amen, brother.
Those thoughts come into your mind. And you're right. It can be so easy to just give up because you ask yourself, how will I ever make it back?
Yeah.
How will I ever get back? It ain't about being famous. It's about doing the thing that God put you here to do.
Your calling.
And your calling, your vocation, your purpose. And if you say, if you can't see a way to get back to doing what you were put here to do, then you ask yourself, why am I here then?
Why am I here?
Why stick around?
But I believe, brother Tavis Smiley, that racism wins when black men give up. Racism wins every time we give up. And I had to fight back, brother. I had to fight back and say that I'm not going to give up. And you know, it's deep. You know, I believe that my brother, Tariq is his name, Jackson, committed suicide. He saved my life. I believe that George Floyd and Breonna Taylor saved my life. So crazy as it may sound, you know, but those things put a battery in my back that I need to have there. Like, you got to keep going, brother. You can't give up. And it was something about the profoundness of how George Floyd died, man. I just, whew. Can you imagine being kneed to death for 9 minutes, screaming for your mama, the way you got your mama or had your mama, the way I got my mama, had my mama, and your life is just being sucked out of you, man. And it's just like there was something about that. And then a few months later, brother, as you probably know, The Real World, the folks who created The Real World that I was on did a reunion episode, a reunion series, about 5 or 6 episodes on Paramount, whatever it is called, Paramount Streaming, Paramount Plus.
Yeah.
And Tavis, I've never had so many white people apologize to me for how they originally felt about me. What black man do you know will have folks who called you all kinds of names apologize to you? Yeah. But it was only because of what they witnessed with George Floyd. Yeah. You see what I'm saying? It's deep being a black man in America.
He became a star many, many years ago on MTV's The Real World, and he's gone on to do some great work in The Real World since then, including his latest book, number 15. It's called Grocery Shopping with My Mother. I knew this conversation was going to get rich. Wow. Not this deep, but I knew when Kevin Powell shows up, man, it's going to be a rich dialogue. We'll continue when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
Be sure to like and follow Tavis Smiley at The Real Tavis Smiley and get Twitter updates at Tavis Smiley. The conversation continues when we come forward.
Study reveals barriers to mental health for Black and Latina women in California. Maisha Cairo here with your K-Black Minute News. A poll conducted by Eviteris, sponsored by Black Women Organized for Political Action and Hispanas Organized for Political Equity, found that 77% of some 800 women participants experience some form of discrimination due to personal characteristic. More than 3 in 5 respondents have had mental health concerns for which they did not seek care. These same women reported often having had negative experiences with providers. 70% of Black women and 54% of Latinas reported racial or ethnic discrimination. Another 59% of Black women and 55% of Latinas report assumptions were made about their income and education levels. 40% of Latinas reported discrimination based on assumptions about their ability to communicate in English, while 28% reported assumptions about their documentation or immigration status. I'm Aisha Cairo, and that's your K-Black Minute News.
The Institute for Diversity Certification is all about the 3 Ds: dedication, determination, and discipline. Learn more about our globally recognized diversity certification program today by calling 1-800-983-6192. Again, 1-800-983-6192, or visit diversitycertification.org. As the #1 organization for certified diversity professionals and also certified diversity executive credentials, diversitycertification.org will provide an opportunity for you to demonstrate dedication to the field, determination to make progress, and more discipline to your process. Go today and learn more about the diversity certification system. Call 1-800-983-6192. Again, 1-800-983-6192. Or go to diversitycertification.org. That's diversitycertification.org. The standard of excellence, equity, diversity, and inclusion.
Special Needs Network Incorporated, together with Assemblymember Isaac Bryan, cordially invites you to Christmas Care Exchange in the Park, Sunday, December 18th from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. in Lamert Park, located on 43rd Place in Crenshaw. Experience a day of giving, love, community, and support. There will be celebrity guests, arts and crafts, resource fair, and more. Come take a picture with Santa. Enjoy the DJ. This is a free event open to the public Sunday, December 18th, 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. Don't miss the Christmas Care Exchange in Lamert Park, located on 43rd Place in Crenshaw. This is the season of giving, and the Special Needs Network, together with Assemblymember Isaac Bryan, wants to bless you Sunday, December 18th, 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. There will be toys for all kids up to 18 years old. Children must be present. See you Sunday. Thanks to our sponsors, Let's Behold, The Butterfly Effect, and SEIU 721, State Council on Developmental Disabilities, Niagara Water, Lakeshore Learning, Puck Schools, Crystal Stairs, Beach Cities, Beta Gamma Nu, Casa Lopez, and Los Fabulocos.
Let's unpack a little bit more with Tavis Smiley. The conversation continues right now.
Our guest is Kevin Powell. His book is called Grocery Shopping with My Mother, and I've asked him to read a piece from the book. Kevin Powell, 36 poems, 36 brilliant poems in this text. Which one are you going to read for?
Dear Kobe by Kobe Bryant. I was deeply affected by what happened to him when I was there at this Crypto.com. Now, I still call it the Staples Center when they had the memorial for him.
I still do. I do too as well.
Yes, sir. Dear Kobe. Their eyes were watching for you the way they watched for Jesus Shuttleworth and Malcolm X and Nipsey Hussle over on Slauson and Crenshaw. They came in cars, on planes, by bus, by grit. They got there by foot. They were in wheelchairs. Their sandpaper palms, grip canes, and walkers. They were slouching baby boomers, salt and pepper haired Gen Xers, tattoo-faced millennials. They be Beyonce and Jimmy Kimmel, and 7-feet ballers who crushed the ground like jolly green giants. They marched all over with purple and yellow gold steamed to their chests. They marched through the misty scents of downtown Los Angeles, the way 20th century Europeans marched from freedom ships to Ellis Island, the way 21st century immigrants marched from Mexico into the barbed wire borders of the Promised Land, the way chocolate leg country dwellers marched from Mississippi to the salty beaches and sleepy hoods of California. A massive army of humanity hemmed up block after block, looking for the Staples Center, looking for the angel in America who got a city of billions around the world saying your name, Kobe. The lines of flesh speed text as police and arena workers shoot people to move like you moved on the basketball court. A black mamba, yes, but also an African ballet dancer who broke loose the chains of plantations and copied and pasted Beethoven and basketball with Biggie and Beverly Hills as your body leaped and lunged into the open mouths of nameless ancestors
who done seen some things. And them ancestors blew Michael Jordan and Dr. J and your daddy and your mama in Philadelphia and Japan and Italy and the Holy Ghost of Dizzy and Coltrane into your veins. Just means the people marching to be like you, Kobe, and they be white, black, Latinx, Asian, Native American, Pacific Islander, Christian, Jewish, Muslim, atheist, agnostic, this gender, that gender, no gender. They be Kendricks, cool hip-hop. They be Sinatra's cool jazz. They be Lakers marching jelly beans with Amy Winehouse and Marilyn Monroe as you, Kobe, and you, Gianna, wax poetic with John Lennon and Marvin Gaye about love, love, love. They be a rainbow coalition of thousands marching you mid-range jumpers and 360-degree dunks as they scrape field hollers and spirituals in your blues from your veins, from their veins, Kobe, wearing number 8, wearing number 24, wearing Gianna's number 3. Number 2, street hustlers selling T-shirts, posters, clipped and clipped memories of you, putting an entire nation on your shoulders, winning 5 championships, teaching us the magic of the Mamba mentality, teaching us and telling us to keep shooting even when the odds are slanted like that cloudy hillside in heaven. You be heaven to us, Kobe, because you never gave up. That's why they come to you like you are a saint, a king, royalty, yeah, a political leader, yeah, a self-help guru, yeah, a storyteller, yeah. They come to you because you could chest pass a basketball through the smashed windows of centuries of dreams denied. They come to you because you crumbled in front of us and got back up and confessed and apologized and sculpted yourself into a husband, a lover, a father, a girl's dad. Vanessa Bryant's multilingual soulmate, her tears, her words, the biblical permission we need to release your joyful angel wings into the healing arms of the Pacific. Kobe, 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 forever, forever, forever.
Kobe Bean Bryant.
Thank you.
Our guest is Kevin Powell. 35 more brilliant pieces just like that in his new book, Grocery Shopping with My Mother. Our remaining moments with Kevin Powell when we come forward.
This is KBLA Talk 1580, where we turn red lights to green lights and keep it moving.
KBLA Talk 1580 invites you to join us in celebrating the season of giving by being part of the solution. As we enjoy great food, family, warmth, and well wishes in whatever our festive tradition may be, we share the beauty of the season by reaching out to the less fortunate. Please help us to help others with the KBLA Cover the Houseless Cozy Community Coat and Blanket Drive. All you have to do is drop off new or clean, gently used winter coats and blankets in the KBLA lobby during business hours, now through December 20th. All of the coats and blankets will be donated to unsheltered individuals and families experiencing houselessness. Simply bring your donation to 4434 Crenshaw Boulevard in Los Angeles, near Vernon Avenue, from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. weekdays. That's 4434 Crenshaw in historic Leimert Park. During the holidays and every day, let's remember, we keep us safe. We keep us warm. We are the safety net, and together we can cover the unsheltered. Get caught up in the spirit of the season, the spirit of love. Make a difference with your friends at KBLA Talk 1580.
Strengthening the Black Village is a nonprofit offering free, effective Black parenting training to those court-mandated to take parenting courses, and we're open to others. Register for our February 6, 2023 course by calling 323-804-8469. That's 323-804-8469. Visit strengtheningtheblackvillage.org. That's strengtheningtheblackvillage.org.
Conversations that matter. You're listening to Tavis Smiley on KBLA Talk 1580.
Kevin Powell had an amazing book signing. A few hundred people over at Post and Beam, not too far from the station the other day on Saturday. I sadly could not get there because we were hanging out with some woman named Karen Bass.
History.
Man, we had a big event for Karen Bass, the mayor, officially today. So I couldn't get to his signing, but I delight in him coming in the studio today before he leaves town, headed back home to Brooklyn. But Malik's Books, you all know Malik Books. We love Malik Books. They sponsor this station, so Malik Books, we thank you. There are some autographed copies of this book, Grocery Shopping with My Mother. If you're in L.A., there are some autographed copies of this at Malik Books. So the book you can get anywhere. You can order it, you can buy it. But if you want an autographed copy, he was smart enough and kind enough to sign some that are still for sale at Malik Books here in Los Angeles. If you want to get a copy of Grocery Shopping with My Mother by Kevin Powell. I've got 3 minutes left. Let me ask you a few questions. One, what's your mama say about the book?
Boy, stop putting our business in a book. You know how black folks are.
Stop putting all our business in the streets, boy.
But you know what? It's a love poem to my mother.
Yeah, it is.
You know what I mean? And God bless her, and I've been blessed to be a writer. And I mean, I don't take it for granted. Like I said, my mama got great school education. My grandmother could not read or write. And I did find out some things about my dad. I didn't know my father was dead for 10 years after he had died. And I did not know until after he was dead that he was illiterate, which is deep, you know. And he had fled to South Carolina because he had gotten to something with a white brother down there. You know how it was back then. A lot of people would just flee. And so I realized that's where I got some of my spirit from both my mama and my daddy. So, yeah.
Tell me, you've written. What I love about you and your particular gift is that you've expressed it in a variety of ways: short form pieces, long form pieces, haikus.
Yes, sir.
15 books. I mean, you've in any way one can write.
Wow.
You have done that. But tell me for you, why poetry? Why does that particular vein work for you?
It's the most liberating form of writing I've ever done. I ain't got to worry about punctuation. You can see ain't no capitalization, half the poems, that kind of stuff. And I know the rules as we were taught and drilled into us in school, but I just feel free. You know what I mean? And even though he made, I don't know if he listened to this station. I'm sure he has. You probably have had him here already. Smokey Robinson is one of my favorite poets ever.
He's been on this program.
Brother, let him know I love him. And, man, I met him in a vegan restaurant in D.C., and I put my mom on the phone. That's how much me and my mama love him. But when you listen to My Girl, the lyrics to My Girl, Temptation song, that's poetry, and poetry is a simple language, and that's why I love poetry so much. This ain't gonna be my last poetry book. It's been 14 years, but I can guarantee it won't be 14 years again.
Yeah,
yes, sir.
Nah, Smokey, he's the best, man.
Yes.
When it comes to songwriting,
yes,
he's if there were a Mount Rushmore for songwriting,
that's right.
Smokey's on it.
That's right.
We agree on that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
he's my favorite songwriter ever.
Yeah.
I mean, Bob Dylan called him the greatest American poet. He said poet. He said poet, and that's because it's just accessible language. And I wanted to. And Langston Hughes. Why do I write in so many genres? Langston Hughes. I saw him doing it. I said I want to be like that. And so this book is going to actually become a play. I'm working on that. And the Grammys just created a spoken word poetry category that's going to include folks who make poetry with music. Think about the Watts Prophets in the Legend Group or Last Poets. And so I'm actually going to be working on a spoken word album next year with the same title as well. So it's a few things I'm going to do with this. Yeah.
As you can see, he's a busy brother with plans.
This station, KBLA, this is what it's about, Tavis. Build something for the community. Yeah. You know what I mean? Ownership.
No, that's what it's about, man. But I am... let me just close. This conversation we had earlier got so deep, and I didn't expect that or see it going there. But I want to just say to you as I look you in the eye.
Yes, sir.
That I am grateful to you.
Thank you. I'm grateful to you.
For you.
Thank you.
And I'm glad that both you and I are still here.
Yes, sir.
We got more work to do.
I'm going to 100. You going to join me at the age of 100?
I'm going to hang with you.
We at least got to do Harry and Sidney Porter. Get to our 90s.
You got to beat them. Yeah, exactly. beat them. His name is Kevin Powell. Brilliant writer. Love you, brother. Good to have you come in the studio. The book is called Grocery Shopping with My Mother. If you want an autographed copy, go on down to Malik Books. They've got some there. That's our show for today. Thanks for tuning in. Hope you enjoyed it just half as much as I did, particularly, especially this last hour, my dear brother, Kevin Powell. Back here tomorrow morning, Lord willing, to do it all over again, 9 a.m. to 12 noon Pacific time. Time now to make room for the KBLA Midday Money Chain. Up next, the Millionaires Roundtable with Lynn Richardson, to be followed by Ahead of the Crypto Curve with Najee Roberts. Old money, new money, it don't matter. We got you covered here on KBLA Talk 1580. Until tomorrow morning, Lord willing, thanks for tuning in. And as always, keep the faith.